Hey guys, this is Leonard from Lencore Solutions, and a few of you people now already own the Lencore hub motor and have been wondering how to remove the axle blocks. So the axle blocks are these blocks going over the shaft, and they are held in place with these Allen key screws. And they're actually quite tight because of this. There's a special thread locker which is meant to seal on or to bond with anodized surfaces, because this is anodized. Also the anodization is on the inside of the threads, and this is very critical to not damage the block, because if this would move it would basically eat the block really quick. There's also two bolts in here. One is to lock the other one, and it's very important to remove both, and it will only get out, as some of you also have noticed, once you break the Loctite. And in order to break the Loctite we need to apply heat. So I'm going to show you how to use the burner to break the Loctite and to remove the block, and actually how to switch out the bearings completely. So yeah, that's basically gonna be it. Okay guys, I'm using this temperature meter in order to see how hot the block gets. And you can see the little laser pointer where it's at, and as you can see it's now around ambient temperature, so around 20 degrees. And the goal is to get the block to about 100 degrees. And if you don't have a temperature meter, you can just put your finger in your mouth to get some saliva on your fingers, and then just like when you put it in a hot pan, it should start sizzling as soon as you touch it. And I'll try to give you an example of that. I'm using this plumber's burner, and the goal is to try to not burn the tire or parts of the Lencore, so only try to heat here. And for those of you using a Dynafab, you might be able to get away with that. So I'm quickly going to grab a fire and then let's get the party started. So now, flames like these are always hottest here. Sometimes I'm just feeling to make sure that I'm not heating the backside or the tire. You should be able to see where the flame is going, and to get like the start of the bright blue center, get that straight on the block. And then check the temperature regular. You can check it like by quickly putting your hand on and off, or by getting a cheap temperature gauge. I would say about 45 degrees now. So we should heat it like the double amount of time, and that should break the seal. Let's do the quick saliva test. Don't know if you can hear it, but it's kind of sizzling. So I'm going to give it a shot. And as you can see, that was enough to break the Loctite. I'm going to get the balls all the way out. Now you want to be careful right now, because this block is hot. So you can just grab an oven mitt like that, and that's it, axle block removed. I'll just do the other side, leave them to cool, and then I'll show you how to remove this cover. Hey guys, so I removed the other side, as you can see, and the next step is to remove the 6 bolts on these cover plates. And if we're lucky, we only have to do this side, and we can just grab the stator and get it out. But first things first, we shall remove the 6 screws. Now I'm gonna try to use like a crowbar thingy in order to you know, try to lift the cover up like that. And sometimes that works. It's a bit depending on how tight all the tolerances are and how much sealant they used. And if that doesn't work, what I recommend doing is just using this is an M5 screw, metric screw, using an M6 thread cutter, and just put threads in this cover right here and also here, and getting an M6 bolt and just screwing it in, and that will press off the cover as a whole. But first things first, we'll try to use like crowbar and the screwdriver and see what that gets us. You can hear it move a bit already. There we go. Alright, so in this case, the cover came first, which is fine. You just have to be a bit careful, because you know this is the actual seal, sealing the shaft from everything outside. And here is the bearing, which we're gonna replace. And in this case, yeah, not that much sealant. If you wanna, because I'm gonna work on this stator a little bit, but if you want to be sure that everything fits correctly, I would recommend like marking this exact spot where this cover came off, so you're 100% sure that's not going to be an issue when it's in a different orientation with rubbing anything like that. Also, the stator has shims to shim out the actual play. My advice would be not to touch that, as the factory did usually a proper job of shimming that out. Yeah, good stuff. So now it's sticking out of this side still. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to set the shaft on there. It's actually quite hard with the camera because it's constantly in the way. Yeah. We could try, still got some heat into it. Could try screwing in an actual block. See if we can use it to pull it out the final bit. It's so hard. I'm gonna set it on the ground, try again. Don't forget this spacer, because you'll have a bad time. You need to put it together. Okay, so final step is removing the other cover. Seems pretty straightforward. And 6 bolts, and we should be good. And the valve can just stay in place. That's not an issue at all. There we go. Put these aside. So what you can do is use like the backside of a hammer or something, which is wood. If that doesn't work, still got this little pry bar, which you use for the other side. There we go. That got it. So yeah, different bearing. Yeah, but same thing. Seal on the outside, and actually I'll remove the seals right now, so you can see how that goes. You want to have a nice clean flat screwdriver, so you're not damaging it. Slide it in like that. And it should be quite easy. So there's this little lip here. So sometimes you can catch your screwdriver here, so you don't want to do that. It should be really easy to remove this. Obviously you can replace it, but I find that sticking it back just works just fine. I'll do the other side. There we go. And the reason for removing it is because I don't like hammering or pressing these bearings in. So what we will do is we will heat the actual shield, the bearing shield, and as aluminum expands more than the steel rings from the bearings, we can just pop it out. Then we'll have a new bearing that has the same sizing, but will be also cold, and we can just slide it in like that, so you know 100% that there's no issues in that regard at all. And after that, yeah, it's just a matter of cleaning these covers and screwing it back in. Hey guys, so welcome to the workshop, and this is where I do like a lot of the things I'm not comfortable doing inside, like soldering and welding batteries and stuff. As I said before, I'm going to use the blowtorch to heat up the outside here. Temperature is going to be the same as for removing the Loctite. And yeah, you just want to work your way from the outside to the inside, basically. The outside is a lot thinner actually, and if the outside heats, it will also help like pulling apart the bearing. And if you only heat like on this inside right here, what would happen is it would expand, but the outside won't, so it would be holding it back. Just want to take your time a little bit. Don't rush it, because that's when you get issues. If it heats uniformly, it's not going to be an issue at all. And if it takes a bit longer, it's okay. You will live. That's actually already getting there. So what I'll do now is I'll focus a bit more on the actual bearing to really get like into the spots that matter. It's like the thick pieces of aluminum. As you can see, it starts to smoke a little bit. That's okay. I'm gonna give it a shot. Might be hard to hear, but it's actually already going. There we go. So, good old-fashioned mechanic trick is grabbing a number 19 socket. I didn't push it in all the way. There you go. So you should be able to press it by hand. I don't want to use a hammer. I don't want to use anything like that and risk ruining the bore. So while we are at it, because the cover is still quite hot, as long as it's clean, we can straight away put in the new bearing. Now, I am mounting Nachi bearings, which I love. I feel they're even better than SKF. There you go. That's the way you want it to go in. Like, no pressing tools, whatever, whatsoever. And as long as if this accumulates the heat, so it becomes room temperature again, so these two match, this will just lock in the bearing. That's it. I'll do the other one off camera, but you get the point. Okay guys, so now we're gonna put it back together. It's cooled down a bit. And you just want to get all the old gunk, like the old sealing off. I'm just using like a Scotch-Brite thingy, but you can also use like a wire brush. something like that. And you want to get to the point where it all looks like that, so like bare aluminum. You could probably just stick it back, but I don't want to risk having something being not completely straight, because that really ruins your day. It will make bearings make weird noises. So yeah, I like being really clean with this stuff. Like for this inner shoulder, you can like use like something sharpish. Try to get that off. But yeah, you get the idea. I had to change the camera a little bit because the battery died. And in the meantime, I put this cover on, this bearing shield. I put the bolts in and just by hand pressed in this seal. And I remembered to put some sealant between the shield and the rim. Now please don't over tight these bolts. You are putting an M5 thread into an aluminum rim. It doesn't need that much. Just remember how tight it was when you took it off, and that's about where you want it. So now we're ready to put back the stator. This is the side with the valve. That's the side where the shaft is narrow. So the small side of the shaft will be on the valve side, and on the other side of the valve will be the cable for the motor. Now you may notice that this stator is actually a different stator, and that's actually the reason I'm taking this one apart, is I'm swapping out stators. But the principle doesn't matter, it's the same stator. So yeah, be careful with your hands, don't put them under and drop it in like that, because the magnets will pull it in really quick. And then hold it on the shaft or reattach the axle block, and it will violently go in. There we go. We are in. Okay. This is some silicone I've put on. Just the tiniest layer is enough. You don't want to overdo it. Now the next part is going to be very crucial, because we need to get this cover to go in down very straight. So what I always do is I just grab the first bolt, just turn it in until you just start to feel some resistance. And then I'll make like a star pattern using 3 bolts if you can. Doesn't always work out. Also, that's just touching. Yes. Now you want to rotate each of them equal amounts so you can press it straight down. That one's actually on. That's on too. I also think that one's on. So I don't think we did too bad. Now we'll get the other ones in. Just so there's no buckling. Okay guys, now to be fully sure, I'm grabbing a plastic hammer, and at the point where the bolt is, it's very strong there, some love taps, and if you are able to put them tighter afterwards, that means there was play in it. But this feels good, so now I'm going to tighten them. And there we go. That motor is back together. Now you want to make sure that you test out that it's, you know, able to turn without hitting anything. It's a bit awkward to do it like that. Yeah, this one works. I don't know if you can see it. So no rubbing, that's a good sign. Yeah, so next step will be putting the axle blocks back. Okay guys, now I'm gonna show you the final step, and that is mounting the axle blocks. It's very important that they're nice and clean. So if you have a threading tool, please just use it, just to be sure that it's all good. Nice and clean. And then also clean the bolts. I just use some brake parts cleaner, which works fine. And then use the special Loctite 263 to get these threads to not go off on our own. And just be generous with it. Now note that the axle blocks left and right are different. This one is for the battery cable side, so this one is for the motor cable side. And that has this special notch for this cable here. I'm gonna go ahead and insert these already. Now you want to place them over. obviously you need to be fully seated, and if you are on a Lencore wheel, you can just get a nut because it will stay on, and if you are on a regular XR, you just have to press it in really good like that just before you tighten it, as I am on a Lencore wheel, and you just get it hand tight like that. And the important part is, yeah, that's fully flush. Now get your tool and rotate it all the way the last bit. Now this is a really important bolt, and as this aluminum is really strong, I recommend just tighten it a lot. Once you're happy with that, grab the locking grub screw. Also give this some Loctite. And you can thread this one in as well. There we go. It's the last few ways in, like that. Again, you can also be generous with this one. And yeah, other side same process. Leave it to dry for 24 hours and then you're ready to shred.